Fanfest dinner. So even though I killed a few of their ships, I was still welcome to enjoy a meal with them. But my name is Lazarus. My real name is Brian Murph. I am a lead FC for the CFC, which a few you're probably familiar with. And the PL5. I'm the guy, when you see the 1,000 goons or the 1,000 people forming up to go fight a fight, I'm the guy on top telling everyone what to do. It is the most stressful job in Ace. What we're going to go into first, hopefully it plays, it's a YouTube link, but it is by far, in my opinion, the best example of the magnitude of what unfolded on January 27th, the Battle of B-R5. So we'll see if it'll play.
Really slowly.
Maybe.
I got viruses now.
That was important.
Yeah, okay. You know this one?
guys about 10 hours with you.
Now we figure out how to get the presentation back. All right. So that was BR5 in a nutshell. That video there. What most people don't know what happened before BR5. You all know about the 22 hours that we sat there and played EVE Online. So the rest of this presentation, each slide is going to be delayed about 10 minutes for time violation. Head GP. Head GP was about 5 days before BR5. What happened in Head GP is the CFC and Russ jumped in about 500 dreadnoughts and lost probably 350 of them. So we didn't really want them anyways. But Head GP was monumental in the fact that it proved some of the theories I had going into BR5, as well as just definitely showed how a fight like that would play out once escalated. The night before BR5, I was having a conversation with Mr. V, who is the Euro Time Zone FC for the CFC, and he was a little perturbed at me because I wasn't playing as much as I should have been. Oh, this is not going to be good. So it's just logs, which I tried to kind of redact some of the bad words, but I might have missed some. So basically, this is us. There is a station timer coming out on Wednesday. We wanted to plan this trap. We've been trying to plan this trap to get their supers and Titans killed because we knew we had the advantage. We knew we had the numbers. It was all about a point where we had the FCs online and being able to get everyone to show up to it. But then BR happened the next day. So it was all for naught. So the morning of BR5. Pre-Sour Team drop, we knew that Pandemic Legion and N3 were taking their entire slow cat fleet, and I think they took 45 super carriers up north to defend one of their assets in NTO. It was a station on its final timer, so they had to go and defend it or else they would lose it. So that started, I believe, at 1 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time, which I'm not sure the conversion right there, but what you have is they've been awake for 5-6 hours as BR started to unfold. So you have these pilots who are Australian, who are coming around to their bedtime, or they're European, and they're just waking up. And you just have a cluster of people that are tired and bound to make mistakes. BR5 was not planned. Some, at the very beginning, thought it was some sort of spy thing, which we are going to do. It was a solid build on tape. It was a box unchecked. And people were really upset, I believe, in Mania about that, but it happens. The Russians, as soon as they found about it, they had scheduled a knock. I was awake at this time, I believe, at 4 a.m., my U.S. Eastern, and I told them to wait, don't go in the system, don't let them know that we're going to do anything. So, they just left it. At 1200, after 2 hours of sleep, I woke up and was like, so what's happening? Where's PL at? Are they still north in MTL? I started moving a scout. I lost 2 cheetahs trying to get BR5 that day. So it was not easy. And once we got there, we were able to see that they had 8 territorial claim units. There's going to be a lot of acronyms here, so if you have a question, let me know. If I start speaking too fast, let me know. So they all had about 4 hours left at that point, so I told the Russians we had to move the yacht forward. So we started forming 4 separate fleets at 1300 an hour before. There's 3 Dominic's fleets, and there's a single dreadnought fleet full of about 40 dreadnoughts from the Russians and Razor. Which actually, this was not according to my plan, but the Russians decided to go ahead and jump in and flip the station, which I said was a waste of time because they just dropped supers. I was wrong. The Russian and Razor Dreads and their 2 Dominic's fleets took the station and 6 TCUs while the CFC went ahead and handled the other 2. which in hindsight, had we been thinking about it, we probably should have rape caged each of the posses there, which would have nullified the BR5, but it would have kept them trapped in their posses with their supers. So, at this point, the PL fleet had stood down for, I think, 30, 45 minutes, and that's when Manny actually had to get back on and start reforming his fleet and go the 5, 6 signers back all the way down, as well as having all of their super capitals that are stuck in BR5 log in and jump out so that they can come in together. It's a very complicated process. Anyone who has not flown a super or had the joy of dealing with the coordination of jumping them around will know it's definitely a mind-boggling task and very stressful when it comes to people bouncing, people not having enough fuel, people with not enough cap.
Wrong fit.
And then there's the trolls who say stuff anyways. So, as they log in and move down, we start picking everyone we can reach. We ended up with similar numbers. I think we actually had 20 super caps more than them, and I think 10 titans at the initial jump in. The text message. Most people have seen this by now, but this is me at home calling in sick from work, and this is Mr. V at work. As things unfold, I'm the only FC around that's currently working with all the fleets at once, coordinating everything. And I'm calling for help. So, the most infamous text, I guess, is that right there at the bottom, is eventually there isn't more time. They've warped on field, and we have to make a call. This is what they initially jumped in. This is the Pandemic Legion and N3 Super Cat fleet at 1300 in the morning, 1400 in the morning. It's still scary. So, once they get on station, we had drag bubbles all the way around station because I was planning them to head for the undock to try and reflip the station. That way they can continue to play undocking games with the rest of their capital. Instead, they warped to the TCU below station. That way they could get through the bubbles, which put me in a perfect place to sign a line and cut off their undocking reinforcements. So, as you saw in the video, the fleet on the bottom, which was the N3PL fleet, which without time dilation would have been the correct play, they started taking dreads off the field immediately with their doomsdays. But as we saw in Head GP, guns don't cycle properly in tie-dye, so the only thing that's really going to do your damage is going to be your doomsdays. So, they are broadcasting that they killed 30 dreads with their doomsdays. We broadcasted that we just killed a motherfucking Titan. So, our primary. Pig's carrier, which, if you're a PL, you know he's probably bragged a few times about his X-type fit carrier. We dropped 3 Ragnarok Doomsdays on 1 carrier. He was boosting their entire fleet, and then after that, with doing the spies, we killed every single bonus bus that they put in the fleet command. They did not do that to us. My Erebus survived the entire fight, boosting the entire initial fleet. So, this is 3 minutes before the hot route. NC dot broadcast that we were scared. And this is their command chat on Jabber. They're doing command chat between N3 and PL of their reaction. They're completely accurate. If you have access to that channel, you can go back to logs and actually find these. After this, Vince Drake, at the line after BGL there, it was, no, we didn't just lose a Titan. And then after that, they go, wait, yes, we did. Sorry. This is the CFC broadcast. This goes on for about 20 more hours.
Shit status equals real.
So, and I'd like to point out the second broadcast from the bottom. If you're wondering how the Batani.com gets its hits, there's your answer. If you want to know what's going on, just click the links. Turning points. Sword Dragon's avatar. According to everyone, what was reported then that Sword Dragon was offline, which therefore is hard enough to be offline. In time dilation, that doesn't work. Partners are still online, but he did not actually drop fleet. He lost his bonuses halfway through, so he dropped to 20% armor and then was instantly boosted back to 45. But in the span of 2 hours and 45 minutes it took to kill him, we had dropped 5 more Titans. We killed 5 more of their Titans, and we further established our lead. So, in Head GP, we made the mistake of bringing all of our subcapitals in to deal with their Cynojammers. That's a lot of damn drones. You're looking at 1,000 Dominixes, all dropping drones, as well as 400 boot carriers, and then super carriers. So that's a lot of stress in the node. So instead of bringing our subcaps to this fight, we had the ones already in the field abandon their drones, so there was no more firing from them. And then we sent every single subcap we could muster to the staging systems so they could not reinforce. We had bubble camps on each of their staging systems, and including dropping dreads on the carriers they had docked. So a lot of people don't understand what it takes in a fight like this. You're looking at probably 6 to 7 FCs. You're looking at 250 people per fleet, and typically there's one person sitting on top that's coordinating the fleets. At the beginning of this, I was coordinating 5 fleets. At the end, we were up to probably 8 or 9. We had a fleet of dictors. We had a fleet for each staging system. We had someone having to coordinate having spare dreads to drop on their undocks when they tried to escape. There's so many moving parts that people don't understand when it comes to leading these type of fights that by the end of the day, you are completely wiped out. So, halfway through the fight, the rest decided they were going to bring in more Titans, which at this point we thought we're at the end of our rope. We are having trouble breaking, I believe, Travis Muskrat's Erebus. It was down to 20% structure and it just wouldn't die. So, if you can read that, or if you can. They signed up in 13 Titans right at that moment, and later brought in 13 more. Sign machines, reshipping, refueling. If you talk to any PL guy in here, you'll know that if they died, they were potted back to Amamaki, and Phalanx gave them a new ship. They could sign it right back in. On the other side, if you died, we get sent to QPO, which is in Declan. It is 6 times away. We reshipped, we brought back everyone immediately. We had supers coming from QPO. We had supers coming from Fountain. We had supers from every single part of Eve coming to this fight. So, this is the most important part of 0-0 fighting. Whoever can respond and reinforce faster is going to win. At the end of these fights, my Titans were down to 5,000 isotopes each. So, typically a Titan will carry 500, 600,000 tokes. So that's 50,000 per doomsday. This is the list. Blue is going to be its PL, and the red CNC. But you can kind of see the list. During the fight, we actually thought we had lost twice this amount. We had Ragnaroks dropping off the field every 10 to 15 minutes at one point because our bonuses weren't sorted out. But apparently, the Russian ones, they were so far off the fight, they were warping out before they died. They were taking deep damage and then warping. So, in the end, we only lost 13 Titans, 14 Titans, not including the race of moving because Razor. Sorry. I love you. Well, yeah. So there's a distinct order of the Blue Titans that died. You'll notice they are all Erebus. As I explained earlier, Erebus is given armor bonus. It is a large armor bonus. In fact, if you look at some of the videos on B-R5, you'll see a Titan go from half armor down to 20%. And then you'll see them bounce all the way back up to 50% because that armor bonus is being swapped around in the fleet. Most of these Titans that died at the beginning do not have proper bonuses because people are still loading the system. So it takes far less damage to kill them. And the Ragnarok is already squishy. So once they reloaded their Doomsdays, which took about 2 hours in this fight. So it's a weapon that goes off every 10 minutes. It's now 2 hours to cycle. So we ended up with enough Titans where we were able to cycle 4 to 5 Doomsdays per target and push them over the edge of their reps. Reps still cycle and tie-dye, but they still take effect eventually. So you'll see a lot of bouncing if you watch some of the videos. The only thing that's going to break that in these fights are the Doomsdays. All that matters. So you see, once they swap to our Titan, they went straight for our Ragnaroks. Explosive is, in this type of fight, going to be the biggest damage type, mainly because all these Erebuses, all these avatars, they're doing EM Thermal. EM Thermal is going to be the easiest damage type to stack. That way you don't take as much damage. So, we get rid of the Thermal. Get rid of the bonuses. And then, as you saw with Sword's avatar, they tank a lot. At one point, Maktep, the leader of the Russians, jumped in with 15 Titans, and he dumped Doomsdays on a target that we had not called. I don't have the logs, but I'll find them if you want them. But lots of them all caps saying, "What the fuck are you doing?" So this is about 8 p.m. my time. I had been awake since 7 a.m. my time, with 2 hours of sleep the previous night, and this is basically kind of the aftermath, and we pushed everything over the edge. And this is just kind of what happens at the end.
We were stealing isotopes from supercarriers.
Yes, I was. I was having them approach me and dump them into my cargo because I had no way to doomsday anymore. I gotta have gunnails. Yeah, so at the end of this chat log, I get a little bit smaller. So, a CFC member, Elena, made this infographic. It's actually pretty informative, including the real-world translation, which most of us don't care about. 775 Doomsdays fired. That is a lot of Doomsdays. 38.75 million isotopes, which would be worth a fortune ever since Fozzie posted his change. But it's what, 24% in the last 2 years of Doomsdays, I believe. And it's just general what died that day, and it does a pretty good job covering it. And you can find this on Google or just anything. It's if you want a closer look at it. But it's the real number is the 7,600 unique players that were in that fight that day. You're looking at 3 to 4 different systems, all different fights, different FCs, different players, and all of that is what it took for this to happen. That is why it only happens on January 27th, once a year. If you guys want to do it again, we'll see you in a few months.
Yeah, go ready. Now.
Yeah.
Same time.
So, again, thanks. Everyone. That's nice. So, one of the big things that people were looking at immediately after the fight is how does this impact the EVE Online universe? How does things change when it comes to that war we're currently fighting? Well, a few weeks after that happened, with the CFC and Russians, we completely steamrolled 3 regions. If you look at a map today,
We got the back.
they got it.
And more.
They paid a little bit for it, but they got it back. So, nothing in EVE is permanent. Everyone says the CFC is permanent, but we'll see eventually. Throughout EVE, there's always been the big juggernaut. You had Band of Brothers, which died. The NC, which died. And now you have the CFC. So we have a few interesting years ahead of us. So, like I said, the whole huge complexity of this is being able to understand what an FC goes through. And if you were to talk to Manfred Sidious, Lace Randolph, Shadu, Mr. V, any of the FCs that do the large-scale fleet stuff, there's really nothing comparable in EVE about it. Like, there's probably a number of FCs in here. You know a little bit what I'm talking about. Like, in show of hands, who's your FCs? Yeah, see, these are the people, these are the content creators that you fly with every day. These are the people that you should be buying shots. Yeah, just not 13 Soko. But basically, I'm going to open up now. If you have any questions, general questions, FCing, anything that you want to ask me, I'm sure there's lots of qualified people here that can help answer things if I don't have the answer for you. Just if you want to raise your hand, I can bring you a mic, which I have no clue if it'll work.
That's that.
I guess it doesn't work.
Which PL Corp are you going to?
Actually, I spoke to her about that. Have it! Have it!
I have had my alt in ESW for a while. I am friends with everyone. But I don't have it sitting yet. I'll let you know.
Yeah, I'm Tarek Stork. I wanted to ask you about Sword Dragon. Do you think that actually really mattered? I mean, was it much of a turning point?
Oh,
do you think the Russians might not have jumped in those extra times if
well, at that point, they were already coming in. I think it was a big factor, but it wasn't as big.
You guys had such a massive advantage already. I mean,
yeah, I think in the end we had 40 Titans, like a midpoint or 40 extra Titan fleet, but it's not as big as it seems. But it's a big factor in the fact that so many Doomsdays per cycle were wasted on him just to push him over that red barrier. So it not only was the Doomsdays that it took to kill him, but the extra ones that were wasted because they had to punch through the rest.
okay.
Anyone else? So let's pray.
Do you have like a job next to this, or do you need to be unemployed?
I do have a job. I had to call in sick that day to be able to make it to that fight. I woke up about 7 a.m. US Eastern, which is when I usually wake up for work. I phoned in and said, all right, I can't really make it in. Get something. I'm sick. Yes. I actually work with my family.
Yeah, if I see that.
I do IT and I work on your multifunction printers. I do a lot of network interfacing with those. So we own a family business down in Savannah, Georgia. So I had to call my father and tell him that I was sick, which later he found out about it, but it solved it.
Alright, mate, Nano Pandemic Legion. I'd just like to say for the fact that when Salt Dragon was in half armour and Graf Telkin was actually raging, we all just said, and this was a unanimous decision, fuck it, it's Salt Dragon, we're just going to kill him. And you can get our comms from that, and that is actually official, and it did happen. We knew we were going to lose at that point. Well, we just wanted to kill him.
Everyone jumped in and they had the impression that we really wanted to kill Sarmoy, which if you look at our chat logs, which I can still pull up if anyone would like to see them, but you see shoot Sarmoy about 10 times throughout the hours. And like, it's
Strike primary! Yeah. Can I just say for the record that he did feel good when he died?
Yeah. it was torn between shoot Sarmoy and shoot Salah.
Of success.
This way. There's one there.
What do you take an engagement
Would you take an engagement if the soft drop happened during the EU or US time zone with possible possibly less Russians.
It depends. There's lots of factors that go into thinking about this. We actually had a small number advantage going into B-R5, but I also knew that they had been awake longer and that we would have the Russian time zone log in as they were getting home from work.
And you loaded the rig with the threats.
Yeah?
You loaded the rig with the threats before you jumped in.
Yeah, it wasn't 300, it was 160. Because I think once I started pinging, I had formed a second thread fleet which had 80 threads, and the Russians were at 60.
You had someone there.
Okay. Yeah. It was a lot more than I could count. People kept asking for links from what was on field, and it was pretty hard to distinguish who was who. Yeah, at the end, you probably saw, I think, 800 threads on the CFC side against 500 archons, which can't really make an argument either way just because of time dilation of how much the cycles helped. Had it been no time dilation, the amount of dreads on the field would have allowed to tighten every cycle. That's kind of what we're playing at, but we didn't expect the time dilation to affect them as much as it did.